Hello chums, and welcome to Setups for Simpletons. I've created an entire series dedicated to explaining Gran Turismo 7's quirky and sometimes unforgiving tuning system, but sometimes it's nice to just copy someone else's homework and be done with it. So in this series I will take one car at a time, show a complete setup, and a lap of the Nürburgring for good measure. Disclaimer, if you use my setups it does not mean you're a simpleton. Let's begin! I recently uploaded a fastest lap video for the Ferrari F50, and whilst it was very fast indeed, I couldn't help but wonder if it might be a tad nicer to drive if it were set up for 700 performance points, so here we are. For the visuals there is no wide body option, but I still have aftermarket wheels in the standard size. This won't really affect performance in any way, shape or form over the stock wheels. Increasing the size may make the handling more direct, though that's not exactly necessary on a car like this. There is a front splitter, but it's not necessary for this setup as front downforce is set to the minimum. I also have the rear diffuser fitted for extra front and rear downforce. To set this car up for 700 performance points, you are fairly limited on how many parts you can fit. I have weight reduction stage 1, the power restrictor and ballast, the customizable ECU, customizable LSD and manual transmission, increased body rigidity, racing air filter and exhaust, racing brakes and pads, fully customizable suspension, and racing hard tyres. If you're using this for the Delasard race, you'll also need intermediate and wet tyres. Detuning a car for a performance point limit is something of a luxury with cars like this because it allows you to use ballast weight, which not only reduces the performance point rating but also completely changes the car's behaviour. In this case, adding the ballast weight to the front axle completely removes the lift-off oversteer this car can suffer with. Front downforce is also set to the minimum, while rear downforce is maxed to make the car more stable and reduce the performance point rating. The suspension and diff are very standard fare, and I've fitted the racing air filter and exhaust because it makes the car sound a tad more fruity. With the added ballast weight, the F50 becomes as docile as a four-wheel drive car. Coupled with very high downforce values, it's glued to the road even at high speeds. While it's lacking in power compared to other cars of the same performance point rating, it makes up for it by being one of the nicest cars to drive. Its handling is pretty much exactly like a Group 4 car. Good downforce, forgiving handling, and not enough power to truly upset the car. If you've bought one of these and want to make the money back, then using this car for the half-hour Le Mans race is a very nice way to do it. The high downforce does make for nice handling, but one of the main things that makes a car competitive at a given performance point rating is the ability to set a very high rear downforce value and a very low front value. For whatever reason, the performance point system thinks this will make the car very slow, even if it doesn't. The F50 has high front downforce, and thanks to the lack of a rear wing option, you can't set the rear downforce dramatically higher. While it does make this car less competitive, I frankly don't care. In this configuration, it's one of the best cars to drive in the game, and I highly recommend it. In the end, I managed a 6 minutes 40, which puts this V12 hypercar 3 seconds behind a Suzuki Jimny with a K-swap. Oh dear. So, that was my 700 performance point setup for the Ferrari F50. I hope it helped. Thank you very much for watching. Please do like, subscribe and kick me in the bell so that you get notified of my future uploads. Take care of yourself, and ta-ra.